Hold on to your hats, folks, because President Trump has just unleashed a tariff tornado on the world. This move has sent shockwaves through the global economy, leaving everyone from small business owners to international leaders scrambling to make sense of it all. In a move that surprised, well, pretty much everyone, Trump slapped new tariffs on imports from over 50 countries. These tariffs are not just minor adjustments, they represent a significant shift in U.S. trade policy, targeting a wide range of goods from electronics to clothing. This isn't just a light drizzle. We're talking a full-blown economic hurricane. The impact is being felt across various sectors, with stock markets reacting negatively and businesses expressing their concerns over rising costs. These tariffs, which are basically taxes on imported goods, are no joke. They are designed to make foreign products more expensive, thereby encouraging consumers to buy American-made goods. However, the ripple effects are far-reaching. They're designed to protect American businesses, but they're also causing a whole lot of chaos and confusion around the globe. Companies that rely on imported materials are now facing higher production costs, which they may pass on to consumers. Imagine walking into your favorite store only to find out that everything is suddenly way more expensive. From groceries to electronics, the price hikes are hitting consumers hard, leading to frustration and uncertainty. That's the reality people are facing right now thanks to these tariffs. Shoppers are having to make tough choices, cutting back on non-essential items and stretching their budgets to make ends meet. The world is now scrambling to figure out how to deal with this new trade landscape. International leaders are holding emergency meetings, trying to come up with strategies to mitigate the impact of these tariffs on their economies. Some countries are angry and threatening retaliation, while others are trying to negotiate their way out of this mess. Trade agreements are being revisited, and new alliances are being formed in response to this unprecedented situation. One thing's for sure, this tariff storm isn't going away anytime soon. As the world grapples with these changes, the long-term effects on global trade and economic stability remain to be seen. Buckle up, because this is just the beginning of a turbulent journey. Remember that old saying, when America sneezes, the world catches a cold? Well, it seems like America just unleashed a tariff sneeze heard around the world, and now everyone's reaching for the economic tissues. Over 50 countries, from China to Israel to Vietnam, are scrambling to talk tariffs with the White House. But why the sudden urge to chat? Well, these tariffs are hitting everyone where it hurts: their wallets. Countries rely on trade, and these new tariffs are like speed bumps on the global economy highway. No one wants to pay more for the goods they need, so they're lining up to strike a deal with the tariff king himself, President Trump. These talks are like a global game of economic chess. Each country is trying to protect its own interests, while figuring out what Trump wants in return for easing up on the tariffs. It's a high-stakes game with no clear winners or losers just yet. The ripple effects of these tariffs are being felt far and wide. From small businesses to large corporations, everyone is feeling the pinch. The cost of raw materials has skyrocketed, and this is being passed down to the consumers. Imagine a small business owner who relies on imported goods to keep their shelves stocked. Now, they're faced with higher costs and tough decisions. Do they raise prices and risk losing customers, or do they absorb the costs and see their profits dwindle? Over 50 countries, from China to Israel to Vietnam, are scrambling to talk tariffs with the White House. Each country has its own set of challenges and priorities, making these negotiations incredibly complex. Why the sudden urge to chat? Well, these tariffs are hitting everyone where it hurts: their wallets. The cost of everyday items is going up, and people are starting to feel the strain. Countries rely on trade, and these new tariffs are like speed bumps on the global economy highway. Trade routes that were once smooth and efficient are now fraught with obstacles and delays. No one wants to pay more for the goods they need, so they're lining up to strike a deal with the tariff king himself, President Trump. The stakes are high and the pressure is mounting. These talks are like a global game of economic chess. Each move is calculated, and the outcome is uncertain. Diplomats are strategizing, trying to outmaneuver each other while keeping their own economies afloat. Each country is trying to protect its own interests while figuring out what Trump wants in return for easing up on the tariffs. It's a delicate balancing act, with each side trying to gain the upper hand. It's a high-stakes game with no clear winners or losers just yet. The world is watching, waiting to see who will come out on top in this complex and ever-evolving economic landscape. The ground is shaking, folks, but it's not a natural disaster. It's the economic aftershocks of Trump's tariff bombshell. The global markets are feeling the heat, and investors are running for cover like a pack of startled gazelles. Uncertainty is the name of the game, and nobody knows what's going to happen next. Even the usually optimistic Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent admits that this whole tariff thing is a bit of a gamble. He says that fixing unfair trade practices takes time and that the US needs to carefully consider everyone's offers. But let's be real, folks, when has Trump ever been known for his patience? The big fear, of course, is that these tariffs could trigger a global recession. Nobody wants to see that happen, but the possibility is definitely looming like a dark cloud over the global economy. While the world panics about his tariffs, President Trump is out on the golf course, tweeting up a storm. His message, "We will win. Hang tough, it won't be easy." Classic Trump, right? He seems to be relishing this whole trade war thing, like it's some kind of reality TV show where he gets to be the tough-talking deal-maker. He believes that these tariffs are the only way to get other countries to play fair on trade. But here's the thing, trade wars are messy and unpredictable. There are no guaranteed winners, only casualties along the way. And judging by the current state of the global economy, it looks like there could be a lot of casualties. Section 5. A world divided retaliation or negotiation. The world is divided, folks, not by borders or languages, but by how they're dealing with Trump's tariffs. These tariffs have sent shockwaves through the global economy, affecting everything from the price of goods to international relations. Countries are scrambling to respond, and their strategies are as varied as their cultures. Some countries are choosing the eye for an eye approach, slapping retaliatory tariffs right back at the US. This tit-for-tat strategy is escalating tensions and could lead to a full-blown trade war. The stakes are high and the outcomes uncertain. China, never one to back down from a fight, is leading the charge on this front. With its massive economy and significant influence, China is a formidable opponent. They're not just imposing tariffs. They're also looking for ways to reduce their dependency on American goods. Then there are the negotiators, the countries hoping to smooth-talk their way out of this trade war. They believe that diplomacy and dialogue can resolve these issues without further economic damage. These nations are engaging in backdoor negotiations, trying to find a middle ground. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is flying to Washington to plead his case directly to Trump. Netanyahu is leveraging his personal relationship with Trump to seek exemptions or more favorable terms for Israel. It's a high-stakes game of political chess. Vietnam, a major clothing manufacturer, is also trying to cut a deal. The country relies heavily on exports to the US, and any disruption could be devastating. Vietnamese officials are working tirelessly to negotiate terms that will keep their economy stable. Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, is trying to strike a balance between standing up for Italian businesses and keeping the peace with Trump. Italy's economy is already fragile, and Meloni knows that a trade war could be disastrous. She's walking a tightrope, trying to protect her country's interests without provoking further conflict. It's a tough act to pull off, but someone's got to do it. The world watches as these leaders navigate the treacherous waters of international trade, each hoping their strategy will pay off. Whether through retaliation or negotiation, the future of global trade hangs in the balance. Section 6. Tariffs. Here to stay, reshaping global trade. Don't hold your breath waiting for these tariffs to disappear anytime soon. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick confirmed that they're here to stay, at least for now. He says Trump is serious about resetting global trade, whatever that means. But here's the thing, global trade is already pretty darn complicated. Adding a bunch of tariffs to the mix is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a roller coaster. It's not going to be pretty. These tariffs are already disrupting supply chains, raising prices for consumers, and creating uncertainty for businesses. The longer they stay in place, the more damage they'll do to the global economy. Section 7. Congress pushes back. Can they rein in Trump? Even some members of Trump's own party are starting to get cold feet about this whole tariff thing. They're worried that he's gone too far this time and that these tariffs will end up hurting the very people they're supposed to help, American workers and consumers. A bipartisan group of senators is so concerned that they're proposing a bill to limit Trump's power over tariffs. This bill would require the president to get approval from Congress before imposing any new tariffs. It's a long shot, but if this bill passes, it could be a major blow to Trump's trade war agenda. The question is, will enough Republicans be willing to stand up to their own president and put the brakes on this economic roller coaster? Section 8, Musk versus Navarro tariff tug-of-war. It seems like even within the White House there's no consensus on these tariffs. Elon Musk, the billionaire CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, recently spoke out against the tariffs, saying that he'd prefer zero tariffs between the US and Europe. This didn't sit well with White House trade advisor Peter Navarro, who accused Musk of looking out for his own business interests. Navarro fired back, saying that Musk's companies benefit from government subsidies and that he should be more supportive of Trump's policies. It's a classic case of two powerful figures with very different views on trade policy. Musk represents the globalist perspective, while Navarro is a staunch economic nationalist. Who will win this tariff tug-of-war? Only time will tell. Section 9, the economic crystal ball. What's next? So, what does the future hold for the global economy in the age of Trump's tariffs? Honestly, folks, it's anyone's guess. Economists are split on whether these tariffs will ultimately help or hurt the U.S. economy. Some argue that they'll lead to more American jobs and a resurgence in manufacturing. Others warn that they'll simply drive up prices for consumers and make American businesses less competitive globally. One thing's for sure, we're in uncharted territory here. Trump's tariffs have upended decades of global trade norms, and the consequences are still unfolding. Buckle up, folks, because it's going to be a bumpy ride.